This post will likely be cathartic for me, possibly helpful for some others. And maybe others might have something to contribute that may be helpful to all of us. The background. Without going into all the details, here's a synopsis. I'm originally turned 40-year-old male. Was with the ex for 8 years. We were married for 7 of them. She was already divorced once when we got married, and she was my first marriage. In a nutshell, I emotionally withdrew from her, not really on purpose. She gaslighted me into believing I was a total piece of crap. And then something is seriously wrong with me when we separated. Even though I have a good job, make more money than she does, and have been objectively proven to be a more balanced personality and emotions through testing we both did with a counselor a few years back. So through recent counseling, I learned this isn't the case. I'm not just some emotionally unavailable prick with attachment issues. Rather, she isn't very trustworthy, and without trust there is no emotional intimacy. So no wonder I withdrew emotionally. It was a defense mechanism. And of course, emotional neglect is devastating to the heart of a woman. And so she feels that I left her a long time ago, which I think is a fair point. Ultimately, she had enough of feeling this way. Obviously, no introspection of how she may have contributed to or caused this crap in the first place, and eventually took me to task on it all, which culminated in asking for a separation and saying she wants a divorce. I knew something was up with her for the 2 months leading up to the blow-up, but I could never get her to tell me. So I just kept living my daily life. I found out a month after we separated that she had been having an at least emotional affair with a married guy. I called her out on it in early January of 2021, caught her completely flat-footed. She tried to lie about it at first, but I made it apparent that I had evidence. And then she finally owned up to it, though she still tried to say that because nothing physical happened, it wasn't really cheating. What a C-word. And of course, this permanently solidified to me that, in fact, she really wasn't to be trusted. So my feelings of distrust were well justified, as she proved once and for all in the past. It would be small things, but as any married person knows, small things add up. For example, I'd tell her something in confidence, or we discussed something that was to stay between the two of us, and she would blab it to someone else. This wasn't just a mistake she made once or twice. It was a pattern of behavior. And for my part, I was drinking too much, and smoking pot never affected my work. I always kept a good job during our whole marriage and made pretty good money. I am good at my job, and providing financially was never a problem. Nor did we ever argue about money. However, the drinking did make me more difficult to be around. I stopped drinking and smoking pot in December, and I'm still sober to this day. Hallelujah. Now, in hindsight, I can see things I couldn't see when I was in the middle of the storm 2 or 3 years ago. The ex-wife's sister was having an affair behind her husband's back. This poor guy and still is the epitome of a doormat. I was always under the impression that her side of the family was trying to mold me into a housepit like that poor sap, which I never succumbed to, but I digress. Sister told the ex-wife of the affair in confidence, as if it were not that big of a deal. Ex-wife was apoplectic, very upset, very disturbed. The night she learned of the affair, she confided in me regarding what to do, if anything, during that conversation, which lasted probably 2 hours. We discussed infidelity in general, but also the variants of infidelity. I remember crystal clear that we also discussed emotional affairs in particular, and both agreed that emotional affairs were also adultery. I also made it abundantly clear that in my view, any such infidelity, physical or otherwise, was grounds for divorce, that at such a point the trust is gone and can never be rebuilt. I remember saying that I would never be able to trust again a woman who did such a thing, and I meant it when I said it. So if you didn't know my position on it before, she damn sure knew my position on it after the conversation. Fast forward to fall of 2020. She's feeling emotionally neglected. You know what happened then? This jackhoff, who has a wife, is giving her the validation she wants and needs. But here's what I realized in hindsight. Ex-wife has always been terrible at keeping secrets and even worse at lying. She would always claim that lying is wrong, even small white lies. Not that she was wrong in this assertion. Though now I wonder if her aversion to lying was more due to her inability to do it effectively as opposed to an actual moral conviction. In any case, throughout our marriage, If something was bothering her, I could always tell. Always. I can't tell you how many times I had a conversation with her that went like, "Hey, what's wrong, honey?" "Nothing." "Come on, I can tell." "Are you going to make this, like, pulling teeth, or are you just going to tell me now?" You know, I'll eventually get to the bottom of it. So let's just get the BS and get to the truth of the matter. I was never wrong when I could tell something was up. Never. So at some point, she crosses the line into emotional, fair territory, or, who knows, perhaps even physical. She knows she can't hide it from me forever. I will sniff it out eventually. Because, again, I always do, always. Even if she wanted to repent and admit to it, even if she wanted to repair the marriage, she has in the back of her mind the conversation we had a couple of years back. She knows my position on this crap without any doubt. So she has only so many choices at that point. One, come clean with it before I find out on my own and hope that I have it in my heart to absorb that pain and work through it with her, as opposed to me divorcing her as she's taking that chance on this. Because again, my position was made clear previously. Her facade of her reputation is also forever solid to come clean with it before I find out on my own and divorce me. But then her facade of her reputation is solid. 3, hide it and either stay married while continuing the affair or stay married and end the affair. This is problematic, however, because she can't keep secrets, is a crappy liar, and I will eventually sniff out anything that seems off. So in this scenario, she eventually ends up in scenario number 1 or number 2 above anyhow. Number 4, knowing that I will eventually sniff it out and assuming that I would divorce her when I did. Her only other choice is to beat me to it. She sure as hell wasn't going to be the one filed on, especially not for adultery, be it emotional or otherwise. Remember, she has a facade of reputation to uphold as some pure, moral, honest Christian woman. So throw a bunch of crap against the wall, gaslight the living crap out of me, and hope that at least some of it sticks. Have me carry the entire burden of the marriage, its failure, on my shoulders for the rest of my life. Walk away as the victim, make me the villain, and keep her secrets safe for the rest of her life. Basically, she attempted to carry out a false flag on her own marriage, and so she chose number 4. But she couldn't count on the fact that I am and always have been smarter than she is. I was a little late to the party, but it's only because I was in denial. Her face said it all in early December when I asked if she'd cheated on me. I just didn't dig into it until January. I was preoccupied with trying to move all my crap and figure out the logistics of my next move. Frankly, her attempt to carry out that plan is despicable, as if not worse than the infidelity itself. As they say, the cover-up is often worse than the crime. Adjustment and healing. From December to the end of February, I stayed with my parents an hour away. My birthday is in December, and obviously there's Christmas. Needless to say, this was the worst birthday and Christmas of my life. I turned 40, which is supposed to be a big celebration. A lot of folks have a hard time accepting the big 4 anyhow. And for me it was even more difficult given the situation. I couldn't eat much of anything for the vast majority of December. I started to get my appetite back towards the end of December, but then when I discovered the affair, it set me right back again. Regardless, I supplemented my meals with high-density protein shakes and hit the gym every day in the morning before work. I pushed through that crap. It was not easy. I work from home, so luckily I didn't have to drive to an office. Also, December is a pretty low month at my job, which worked out perfectly because I could not concentrate much at all on my work anyhow. It was also very tough to concentrate when things picked back up in January, but I was getting better. If ever so slightly. Still, what a mind job. Easily the worst thing that's ever happened to me and the worst thing anyone has ever done to me. Now, keep in mind, I have been going to counseling since early December and still worse. By the end of May, I had been through 3 counselors. I can't stress this enough, people, go to counseling. Seriously, it will help you if you go to someone and don't feel it's helping move on to someone else. But whatever you do, go talk to someone you need to in order to maintain even a bare minimum amount of mental health. In my case, the first counselor was helpful until he wasn't. Once I gathered that there was nothing more I was getting from him, I moved on. Each one of them had something to offer, each a bit different, but they all contributed to my processing and healing. I had decided that despite the affair, I would do everything I could to save the marriage. I guess I'm just loyal and value the commitment. It didn't ultimately work, but at least I can say I did everything I could. I did not date until after the finalization. For me, I was not going to stoop to her level. I was not going to return infidelity with infidelity. As much as it pains me. I wore my ring until the very last day. For those of you who are atheist or agnostic, I'm not looking to debate philosophy or theology. So skip this part if you want. Just know you are entitled to your beliefs. But so am I. Okay. The thing that helped me the most was God. Hands down. I did not have the mental strength of my own to carry on through the storm, but somehow He provided it. Although at the time, it didn't always necessarily feel like it. A few years ago, I bought a very short book entitled 3 Easy Steps to Emotional Healing. I don't remember why I even bought it, but I had never read it previously. One night in late January or early February, I remembered that I had packed it with a few things which I didn't put into storage, so I had it with me. I broke it out and read it in one sitting without getting too much into the details. I asked my parents to facilitate while I went through the steps outlined in the book. It was extremely painful to go through them. Extremely, but I can't properly articulate the amount of healing I received from doing it. It was miraculous, I tell you, much like the pain of having a bullet dug out from your body. It did hurt and there were many bullets, but we dug them out one by one, and the Lord took each one and nursed the wounds one by one. I probably received as much healing in an hour and a half as most people would get in a year or possibly more. I don't know what else to say, except it might have been the single best thing I did for myself, and one of the greatest things God has done for me in my life. In late February, I decided it was time to move back to my original city. I had contemplated before if I even wanted to live there anymore. Again, I can theoretically live anywhere I want, so long as there's an internet connection because I work remotely, even before COVID.